and let us all do we can to build a better future.
We're going to move on now to our first segment of the day. So, came to my attention, and I recently saw an article on The Hill where it says Roger Waters is signing up and agreeing and supports Russia. Oh no, what's going on? Well, again, Roger Waters, outstanding musician, activist, he stood in solidarity, calling for the freedom of a lot of whistleblowers and heroic journalists who are behind bars, who are wrongly being persecuted. Roger Waters was recently interviewed on CNN, and he exposes CNN's own hypocrisy. So we got a couple of videos to share with all of you. So first, let's play this first video if we can.
And in the current show, you've got a montage of war criminals, according to you, and a picture apparently of President Biden on the screen, and it says, "Just getting started." What's that all about?
President Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Well, he's fueling the fire in the Ukraine for a start.
Let's also pause it here real quick. This is the same Joe Biden who, again, cited and voted with the war in Iraq. So, you know, him, like all the other senators that supported George Bush Jr.'s war in Iraq, are complicit to the crimes that took place there. Again, let's play the rest of the video.
It's a huge crime. Why won't the United States of America encourage Zelensky, the president, to negotiate, obviating the need for this horrific, horrendous war that's killing?
You're blaming.
We don't know how many Ukrainians.
But you're blaming the party
Russians.
that got invaded. Come on, you've got it reversed.
Well,
Wait, can you pause here for a second?
Any
Now, again, this video was clipped by CNN, and you can check out the interview, too, on CNN as well. It's about 7 minutes long if you want to visit the full, YouTube channel, CNN. But nonetheless, I hope everyone remembered that part of the conversation. FaZe, can you rewind it back just a little bit, almost kind of like 20 seconds in? Thank you. Let's play it.
Obviating the need for this horrific, horrendous war that's killing.
You're blaming.
We don't know how many Ukrainians.
But you're blaming the party
Russians.
that got invaded. Come on, you've got it reversed.
That's any war. When did it start? What you need to do is look at the history, and you can say, well, it started on this day. You could say it started in 2008. Okay, this war is basically about the action and reaction of NATO pushing right up to the Russian border, which they promised they wouldn't do when Gorbachev negotiated the withdrawal of the USSR from the whole of Eastern Europe.
When you say this, then I have to say, what about our role as liberators? You, of all people,
you have no role as liberators.
World War II. World War II. You
got into World War II because
Come on.
Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
You were completely
let's pause it
isolated.
here. This is something that's really not taught in the history books, but before the United States got involved in the Second World War, all right, this is a short history lesson. The United States had a very strict isolationist policy, especially with the aftermath of the First World War and what we went through as a nation through the Great Depression. The United States and a lot of its people were against getting involved with the war in Europe. And were it not for Pearl Harbor, who knows which way the world would be in at this point. And also what's really not taught in schools as much is the role of the Soviet Union and its various engagements that it had with Nazi Germany, especially when Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union. I think that's overlooked a lot, because they also took a role in taking down the Axis powers. But nonetheless, it's just something that's not really talked about on social media, in corporate media, because it goes up against the narrative. Let's play the rest of the video.
Isolationist until that's sad. That devastating.
I would argue we were always going to get in, and that
1941.
pushed us in. But thank God the United States got in, right? You lost your father in World War II. Thank God the United States.
But thank God the Russians had already won the bloody war almost by then. Don't forget, 23 million Russians died protecting you and me from the Nazi menace.
Hey, and you would think the Russians would have learned their lesson from war and wouldn't have invaded Ukraine.
Well, you
Fair?
with all your reading, I would suggest to you Michael, that you go away and read a bit more and then try and figure out what the United States would do if the Chinese were putting nuclear-armed missiles into Mexico and Canada.
Now, the thing is, we saw that happen, especially with the incident where the Soviet Union had missiles in Cuba. The United States didn't take too kindly to that. Well, Russia's doing the same. Now, look, this war in Ukraine is a downright ridiculous nightmare, and we'll be talking about this a little bit later on the show, but just so all of you know, and something that I'm not shocked about that it actually happened, but it's come to my attention that the Biden administration will send an additional $4.5 billion to Ukraine. We already spent like around 50 plus billion. They're getting another 4.5 billion. Where's the relief package for the working class citizens here in this country? Now, I know a lot of people are talking about this recent bill that was passed in the Senate, and yes, we'll be talking about that too, but still no stimulus checks, no student debt forgiveness, no medical debt forgiveness, no Medicare for all, but money for war. But see, remember, CNN, just like any other corporate media outlet, has its role to play in feeding you, the American people, neoliberal propaganda. Or propaganda. Sorry about that stutter. Propaganda. They're feeding you to slop all the time because they don't respect you. They think many of Americans are just too stupid to figure it out. Now, CNN also has to present our politicians as being the good guys. Let's be very clear here. What's happening in Ukraine isn't a war against democracy and oligarchs. It's a war between oligarchs and oligarchs and oligarchs and oligarchs. It's these rich politicians playing these games while the rest of us suffer. This is a fact that we have to come to terms with. And with Roger Waters pushing back, as he should, he's shining a light on the absolute hypocrisy of what CNN as a journalist outlet truly is. Remember, this is the same CNN that lost millions upon millions of dollars for their oh-so-fantastic streaming service, CNN Plus. Oh, wait, how long did that last? A month. Hey, FaZe, if, Daniel and I ever came to possession of, let's say, I don't know, $500,000. No, not very. Yeah, no, $500 million. How about that? Let's raise up the ante. $500 million, because we're gonna play it at CNN levels. And we create this streaming service. And it only lasts for a month. What's your initial thought about its failure? And the people who organized it?
They were already on their way out.
Yeah. No, didn't really care, put no thought into it. And that's what CNN did with their also fantastic streaming service. It was supposed to shake the ground, the foundations of journalism. They were going to do hard-hitting stuff. Huh. Well, it's not here anymore. Of course, CNN has to, put on its game face and look professional. But it's no wonder that their ratings are going down in the toilet. There's a little bit more of that interview, so let's play it if we can.
The Chinese are too busy encircling Taiwan as we speak. Okay?
They're not encircling Taiwan. Taiwan is part of China. And that's been absolutely accepted by the whole of the international community since 1948. And if you don't know that, you're not reading enough. Go and read about it.
Okay. Did we solve anything here today?
Yeah, we did. Well, no, we didn't. Because you're believing your propaganda, your side's propaganda.
You're defining it as
Taiwan,
propaganda.
you can't have a conversation about human rights, and you can't have a conversation about Taiwan without actually doing the reading.
Roger, if you're having a conversation about human rights, at the top of the list of offenders are the Chinese. Why is it always the Western world? Why is it always the Chinese?
Can we pause here? I want to play it back a little bit, but look, there's no such thing as a perfect government. The United States has committed its own fair share of war crimes and atrocities. So has China and Russia. Yes, there's no such thing as a perfect world superpower. I mean, all nations have skeletons in their closet. But in regards to top-ranked offenders, the United States is number one. Number one! in the most incarcerated people in the free world. Number one in that. We're also the richest country in the world, and we don't have Medicare for all. To our international audience, our health care in America, the American worker, their health care, get this, is tied to our jobs. We have a thing called medical bankruptcy. It's a nightmare. So to all of our friends in Europe, all of our friends in Africa, South America, Australia, because Australia is a continent, all over Asia, hell, I include Antarctica too. Why not? Include the penguins. Yes, folks. The United States, one of the richest countries in the world, has medical bankruptcy. And one of the leading causes of homelessness is, again, medical bills. There you go. Let's rewind back just a little bit of that, just a little bit further in, and let's play the video.
Accepted by the whole of the international community since 1948. And if you don't know that, you're not reading enough. Go and read about it.
Okay. Did we solve anything here today?
No. Well, yeah, we did. Well, I mean, no, we didn't. Because you're believing your propaganda, your side's propaganda.
You're defining it as
Taiwan,
propaganda.
you can't have a conversation about human rights, and you can't have a conversation about Taiwan without actually doing the reading.
Roger, if you're having a conversation about human rights, at the top of the list of offenders are the Chinese. Why is it always the Western world?
At the top of your list?
Why is it always the Western world?
The Chinese didn't invade Iraq and kill 1 million people in 2003. In fact, as far as I can recall, hang on a minute, who have the Chinese invaded and murdered, slaughtered?
Their own.
Bollocks.
Okay.
That's absolute nonsense. Complete nonsense. You should go away and read, but read some proper
Hey, my
literature.
problem is I spend too much time reading your liner notes, okay? Thank you for doing this.
Oh, God, man. Roger, hey, do yourself a favor. Come with the Hard Lens Media, okay? Roger, if you're ever in Chicago, come with the Hard Lens Media. I would like to have a conversation with you, because what that jag-off on CNN, what he was doing was saying, no, I'm going to convert Roger Waters and make him regret his words. And yet, again, look, folks, this is CNN. So they have to try and twist people's arms, especially to those who aren't really going to play ball. They want to start pushing and bullying people around. I mean, hell, that's why YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are so keen in letting you, the consumer, always be directed to their content. Now, to be fair, look, I had some bias to the story because this is a chance to step and slap around and piss on CNN. And I always got to play this video. Again, shout out to Case Study QB who found this gem. It's just glorious. I just love it. It's Fox News though, making fun of CNN. But trust me, there's a reason why I'm playing this video, because CNN kind of did a little sneaky sneak. It's not too obvious and it's nothing too bad. But in the final video, I'll explain what I'm talking about. Let's play this video though. Get ready.
Everybody knows by now that CNN's hitting rock bottom. Their ratings have hit record lows. Chris Cuomo was fired. Jeff Zucker forced out. Host Brian Stelter's days are numbered, reportedly, and we can see why. His show last week getting 56,000 viewers in the demo. Now, for context, I was going to name shows that rate higher than that, but we don't have time. I'd have to read you the entire TV guide. But when it rains, it pours. Not only has CNN lost viewers, they've lost what little respect they ever had. When CNN approached Republican candidate for Arizona governor, Carrie Lake, things didn't go well. Watch.
Hi, Harry. Hi.
Nice to see you. Count off in CNN.
You don't have a mask on anymore. What's going
We're
on?
outside. Do you have a minute to
well,
chat?
we're 6 feet apart.
Do you have a minute to chat?
I'll do an interview.
Okay.
As long as it airs on CNN Plus. Does it still exist?
Yeah.
I didn't think so, because the people don't like what you guys are peddling, which is propaganda. Thank you.
Wow. Glad someone finally said it. Harsh.
All right. Yes, it's not related to the story. But look, any chance to duck on CNN, then yeah, I'm going to do it because I'm going to play that video. That video is golden. I love it. I love it. And yes, it's coming from Fox News. They're no better, but you know, debate me and tell me that that video clip is not funny, because it is. So I want to return back to that interview that Roger Waters did on CNN. Now, remember, in the first video clip, I told all of you to pay attention. CNN kind of did a little sneaky sneak. Well, they did a little bit of editing. So, Faze, for the final video, let's pull it up here. Let's play it.
Are you an equal opportunity offender on this tour? Here's why I ask. I remember the last tour. Of course, I came and watched. Very much, about Trump. And in the current show, you've got a montage of war criminals, according to you, and a picture apparently of President Biden on the screen, and it says, "Just getting started." What's that all about?
President Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Well, he's fueling the fire in the Ukraine for a start. That is a huge crime. Why won't the United States of America encourage Zelensky, the president, to negotiate, obviating the need for this horrendous war that's killing?
You're blaming.
We don't know how many Ukrainians.
But you're blaming the
and
party
Russians.
that got invaded. Come on, you've got it reversed.
All right, pause it. So I hope all of you are paying attention to that part, because we heard that part in the first video. Here's stuff that CNN left on the cutting room floor before they put it onto television, because there was an interview version for it that was online. So what did they leave out? Let's play it.
Are you an equal opportunity offender on this tour? Here's why I ask. I remember the last tour. Of course, I came and watched. Very much, about Trump. And in the current show, you've got a montage of war criminals, according to you, and a picture apparently of President Biden on the screen, and it says, "Just getting started." What's that all about?
President Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Well, he's fueling the fire in the Ukraine for a start. That is a huge crime. Why won't the United States of America encourage Zelensky, or whatever his name is, the president, to negotiate and to explain why, when he stood on the platform of ratifying the Minsk agreements, which he did when he was elected by 73% of the Ukrainian population that was left able to vote. After that, somebody either whispered in his ear or he completely changed his mind about making peace in the Donbass and about solidifying the Minsk agreements and making peace with their Russian neighbors and obviating the need for this horrendous war that's killing.
You're blaming.
We don't know how many Ukrainians.
But you're blaming the
and
party
Russians.
that got invaded. Come on, you've got it reversed.
So I hope all of you heard it. All that stuff that was not said before. And that's a very interesting thing. Because, again, before in the first video clip that we saw, where we had the wonderful interviewer say, "Hey, you're ignoring the party that got invaded." There was stuff that was said before, and that's why I wanted to share that video, and that's why I shared also that video from Case Study QB, where Fox News was basically taking a piss on CNN's ratings and its poor performance and the absolute collapse of CNN Plus. CNN left out that key part of the conversation. They cut it out because, I don't know, maybe they were afraid of what Roger Waters was saying. Maybe they were afraid that Roger Waters was just looking too good compared to the interviewer. Especially with the not once, but numerous times Roger told Michael to, hey, maybe you need to read a little bit more. Maybe you should do some more investigation into this story. Because for the most part, corporate media gets things wrong. They lied to you about the Hunter Biden laptop story being fake news. Turns out that's real. Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. For a long time, corporate media said that was a fact. Russiagate, it's a real thing. It's interesting seeing how CNN left out that part of the conversation. And I encourage all of you to check out the show notes in the description box below. And yes, this video will be clipped. Use the live stream for a reference. And if you go in the description box below, you'll find our show notes. All those links are available for you, our viewers, to look at for yourselves. Why? Because we here at Hard Lens Media, yes, we have our own opinions. We have some of our own biases too. But when we give the news, when we tell what's happening on our show, I expect all of you to make your own conclusions and your own judgments. I'm not going to sit here at this table and start telling you what to think or how to feel or who to vote for. That's up for you to decide. I got my own problems. I think we all got our own fair share of problems. But we need to shine a light on how CNN was trying to control, Michael from CNN was trying to control that conversation with Roger, trying to make Roger look stupid, but instead it happened. There was an Uno reverse card that Roger had and said, no, I'm going to educate you, and that you, the interviewer, needs to read more. It's interesting that they left out that part of the conversation. Look, I get it. As a news outlet, you have to make some edits here and there. I get it. I understand. But really, that shouldn't be left out. When we do interviews for our guests, we're going to share the whole story. Share the whole clip. Really calls into question what's happening at CNN, and it's no wonder why people are not trusting it as an institution, why people are not tuning in, and why people don't respect it as much. Because corporate media, CNN, like Fox or CBS or MSNBC, they like to lie. They screw things up because these are corporations that are only feeding you talking points and propaganda. And that's the truth about it.